1 year ago, this was just a builder grade home with a builder grade lawn, one lonely tree, and a few shrubs. Today, it's an officially certified wildlife habitat through the National Wildlife Federation. Let me tell you how I did it. At the end, I'll show you exactly where I implemented everything I discuss in my own yard. Can you really turn a builder grade yard into a certified wildlife habitat in 1 year? I did, and I'm going to tell you and show you how. When we moved into our brand new build in coastal Carolina, the yard was about as basic as it gets. One tree, some basic shrubs, and a really sad looking lawn. I knew I wanted to work on the inside of the house last year during the winter and really plan and implement gardens starting in the spring. And I figured, why not do it right? As long as I have to plant from scratch. And since they ripped out so many trees in the neighborhood, I mean, they actually burned them. They cut them up, put them in piles and burn them after they take away, what they can sell. So I felt a little guilty about that, and I wanted to put stuff back. There wasn't one bird. When we moved in last August, my neighbor and I were commenting how we never hear a bird. And so my thought was, if I'm going to be putting flora and fauna back into the environment, why not do it in a way that will attract more wildlife and be better for the ecosystem overall? So I started with a 3-year plan actually to create that. And then I started shopping for native plants. Now you figure, okay, if it's sold in the nursery locally and says it's good in zone 8B where we are, it must be native, right? No, I did not realize that. There are so many invasive plants sold in the box stores and many of the local nurseries, and they're not native. I had planted a few things, and I just keep researching. If you go to the National Wildlife Federation, they do have lists of invasive species. They categorize them. So it's like, get it out of your yard immediately is the worst. And then there are others that lesser and lesser degrees. But I'm going to show you some. I'm going to show you in the next few videos some that you might be surprised are invasive. I didn't really have any invasive plants on my property because I hardly had anything. I planted a few that are like not the worst. So I'm going to watch them, and if they look like they're really starting to be a problem, I'll probably replace them with something else. But the reason you don't want invasive plants is because they can take over the native stuff, and the native stuff is what supports the local wildlife. Live oak trees are like the gold standard in my zone, 8B, and in the South in general, because they support like thousands of caterpillars that turn into pollinators that spread more seed. And so it's really fascinating. But let me just show you those invasive ones first, because you're going to be shocked. Bradford pear is one of the first trees to bloom in the spring. I always thought they were cherry. They are a huge no-no. They don't survive well with the high winds of the south either. The next thing is wisteria. It's beautiful. In the spring, you will see it growing in all the trees here. Highly invasive. Do not plant. Chinese honeysuckle we may remember as kids. Again, smells great, but there are other great smelling options. And the mimosa tree has those pretty fluffy tropical looking flowers. No, do not plant those, highly invasive. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Instead of giving you a whole bunch of don'ts, I just don't want, if this is something you're interested in, I don't want you rushing out and buying plants. It really is important to think about it. So let me give you the do's. There are 5 categories where you need to, like, you can look at the checklist online. I'll put everything in the description box, but there are 5 categories that you need to supply to wildlife to get certified for your certified wildlife garden habitat, I should say. There's food. So there's a minimum of 3 sources, nectar and pollen. So like you can do a hummingbird feeder, you could do a bird feeder. Plants that provide seeds or fruit. Blueberry bush is a great thing. I have my spent sunflowers, which don't look great, but the birds will eat the sunflower seeds. So seeds, nuts, fruits, any plant like that is great. And blueberries native too, for sure. Those are attainable if you don't have the natural scape around you. Water, minimum of 1 source, so fresh water, and that can be like, again, a bird bath or a fountain or a stream or something like that. Cover. So birds need cover from predators and things. I happen to have some mature live oak trees right next to my property. And when birds go to the bird feeder, you see them flying from those trees. So you need either some mature trees nearby or some thickly planted shrubs. Like I used to have a nest I had 3 shrubs together and I had a nest in there. 2 sources. It's good to have a pile of like leaves or dead wood, things like that. That's another place where they can cover, or rocks. A pond is, we happen to have a pond, the community pond in our backyard, that qualifies. Places to raise young, you need 2. Again, a mature tree, brush or log pile, hollowed stems. Like if you have a tree that died and you kind of have like a stump, you can leave that there and they will nest in there sometimes, or have their young nesting boxes, bird boxes, that kind of thing, bird houses. And then 3 sustainable practices. So I chose not to use chemicals in my yard. So that would be 1. Natural mulch. What else? Drought tolerant native plants. That's another sustainable thing. Compost. Don't use plastic weed barriers. And actually turning off outdoor lights at night protects the wildlife from predators as well. I put a little toad house out that I made out of a broken pot. So it's those 5 things, and you just have to meet those criteria. You go onto the website, you do a questionnaire, and then if you do become certified, you get this very cute little certificate. And then if you want, you can purchase a sign for your garden, a metal one that will withstand the elements, which I did. I actually, no, they have flags too. I got the flag. And you know what? I think it's great because neighbors will see it, especially in a new community that everybody's doing the same thing. It may invite questions, and you can explain what it is and why you're doing it. And it's all good to just, if everybody pulls together, it will make an impact. I mean, even one garden makes an impact, but the more the better, obviously. It's getting dark. I had to turn on the light, not just because we have clouds that came in, thank goodness, because we are in severe drought here in Brunswick County. So happy to see rain. I want to give you a little tour of the rest of my garden and show you where the different categories that I provided are in my garden. And also to show you that I'm in an HOA, and you can do this within an HOA, what I recommend is get approval for everything, especially if they're still building in your community, because I have found it's easier to get approval before the neighbors take over the HOA. If you have a fence, you might not need to, but I have a fence that you can see through, and so I need to get approval for everything. So I will give you a tour to show you how I did it here, and I hope that you try it. If you have any questions, I'm still researching, but I am going to share what I have with you. There's another type of certification you can get. I may get that too, and I'll share that with you as well. Let me know in the comments if you try it, if you've done it, if you want to share photos. I'd love to see them. I am always looking for inspiration. I'm constantly on YouTube watching videos. So please, please, please share them with me. Give this video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos, and I will see you in the next video.